I'm going to confess some sacrilege here. I don't care for Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo. Or Hot-Blooded High School Dodgeball Club, if you like. I know it's a beloved classic. And it's the game that turned Kunio from the guy who beat up other gangs to the guy who competed in wild sporting events. But I wasn't fond of it in the original arcade, and the Famicom port is pretty bad. This is the second Kunio game that we've seen. The first was Nekketsu Koha Kunio-kun, or Renegade, the originator of the belt-scrolling beat-em-up, though there was very little belt-scrolling in it. Technos Japan took the beat-em-up elements and put them in Double Dragon, and took that punk Kunio and put him in this game. Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo became a huge hit, and Technos wound up dividing their efforts, half into belt-scrolling beat-em-ups, half into punk-themed sports games. A unique feature of the Famicom version is that it supports 4 players. A device called the Joy Pair would plug into the Famicom's expansion port and split the signal for 2 additional controllers. And the creators of the Joy Pair were HAL Labs. Most of the Kunio games going forward will support a 4-player mode, and as far as I'm able to identify, they're the only Famicom games that support 4 players. As a result, it's really difficult to get your hands on one of these splitters. They're pretty rare as far as Famicom accessories go. The original Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo was an arcade game. It wound up getting ported to a lot of systems, including the PC Engine. Unfortunately, the Famicom is the worst version. Sprite flicker is one thing, but half the time the players are invisible, and on occasion so is the ball. In Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo, Kunio is taking his dodgeball team around the world in a quest to defeat all of the best teams. When you start the game, you have your choice of playing solo, 2-player, and selecting 3 difficulty levels. You can also hit select if you wanted to rename all of the teams and characters, just in case you wanted to put yourself and your friends in the game. The 4-player mode is a special brawl where everyone only controls one character and the goal is to get everybody else out. When you're playing against another team, things are a little bit more complicated than just hitting someone in the face with a ball. Not that much more complicated, just a little bit. When you're holding onto the ball, you can press the A button to pass it to another player. There are 6 members on your team, and 3 of them will be the ones who are dodging balls, and 3 of them surround the opposing players. Those guys are generally useless. The B button throws the ball at the nearest opposing player. If it strikes them, it does a certain amount of damage, and if you wear down their stamina bar, then they die. At least I assume that's the case, given that there's an angel. You have to eliminate all 3 of the opposing players on the court to win the match. If the other team has the ball, then you can press the A button to duck and try to dodge it, or the B button to try to catch it. The timing for dodging and catching seems to be about the same, so I'd recommend just sticking to catching. One thing about catching, though, you have to be facing the ball when you do it. There's 2 more moves that you can do. You can tap twice in a direction to run if you're one of the 3 players on the court. If you step out of bounds, though, you place the ball down and let the other team take it. And any player can jump by pressing A and B simultaneously. You can throw the ball in the air, and in fact that's generally the best approach to playing. You're not out of bounds until your feet land on the ground, so you can get a running start, jump, and then hurl the ball at somebody's head. If your throw is timed exactly right while you're running or jumping, then you'll do a super attack for extra damage as well. The running jump attacks are by far the strongest, and so they're likely the ones that you'll want to use. Just standing there and chucking the ball is by far the weakest attack, and that's why the players surrounding the opponents are generally the worst. They can't run. All of the teams that you face have unique compositions. Some are faster, some are stronger, some have more health, some use special shots more. Similarly, the courts vary from place to place. The mud in Africa slows you down, while the ice in Iceland is pretty slick. If you can beat the final team, which is the US, and not lose a man on the court during the match, then there's one final special match to take on. You fight your own doppelgangers while the screen occasionally flashes. The flickering already gives me a headache, and that just made it worse. There's actually a sequel to Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo. It was released on the Super Famicom, and it was never released outside of Japan either. Setting aside that I can't see the game half the time, the game suffers due to the players really only needing to do the power moves over and over again. There's no reason to not use the running jump shot constantly. It's the attack least likely to be stopped, and does the highest damage. There's only one ball, and characters turn on a dime, so there's no reason to pass the ball around trying to get into a more advantageous position. The only way that I was really able to take advantage of striking an opponent from behind was when they were running back after making one of their own big attacks. It makes Nekketsu Koukou Dodgeball Boo feel rather simple. And given the technical problems with this version, if you want to play it, play the PC Engine version.